Manchester United, Crystal Palace now in the Premier League. Games coming thick and fast for Manchester United at the moment. This is what the football club's all about. Lots of games. But Manchester United have been hit by an injury crisis. A number of players are injured and definitely already confirmed basically out of this game. There's no hope for a number of players. There may be one or two shocks inclusion in this squad, but I would think it would be a risk in order to play any of the players. The likes of Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial are major doubts for this game, but Juan Mata and Herrera, Jesse Lingard all out of this game. And it leaves Manchester United squad a bit threadbare when I think we've got about 7-8 players in the whole squad, probably or maybe even up to 9 players injured, with the likes of Antonio Valencia, Phil Jones, Darmian, so many players out injured. We're going to have to turn to youth for this game in order to try and rescue the top 4, which is difficult for Manchester United. But if Manchester United could get through this game, things may not be as bad as they seem, because we've got potentially a winnable game at the weekend against Southampton. This is for me on paper, a much more difficult game away at Crystal Palace, away at Selhurst Park. They're going to be really up for this game. They're a better team than Southampton, so you would expect this to be a more difficult game. And if we do get through these next 2 games, I don't give a fuck about that PSG game. We're on the verge of going out. We're not turning that around. So if we have to rest players for that game, then so be it. We've got Arsenal the following weekend, so the Premier League games are much more crucial. We're not getting through that PSG tie if we've got half a fit squad, and we'll be without Paul Pogba in that game anyway, so that's probably good to give him a rest. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to have a real deep think of what team he picks for this game. This is where the manager really earns his bacon, really does in these types of games. He's got a real managerial problem on his hands with the team selection. Now, obviously David Hare's going to obviously be in goal. The defence is pretty much going to be the same as before. Shaw, Young, and then obviously Smalling and Lindelof. I can't see Bay coming in at all there. Now, the midfield is going to be a massive conundrum for him. Obviously, Paul Pogba will be in there, and Scott McTominay. Now, it's going to be whether he puts Fred in there, or Pereira in there, or whether he does a shock and puts Gomez in there, or Garner, which I can't see him doing that. I think he will go with Fred, Pogba and McTominay in that midfield. And I think he's going to go with Alexis Sanchez, Pereira and Lukaku as the forward line. Now, obviously, if Martial is fit, then he would probably put Pereira back into midfield, put Fred on the bench and put Martial and Sanchez and Lukaku up front. Now, personally, rather than see Pereira come into the forward line, I would sooner see him back more in the midfield role and bring Tahith Chong onto the right hand side of the forward 3, but I can't see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going for that. I think that he's probably going to put Tahith Chong on the substitutes bench for this game, but we will just have to wait and see. Now, the big news this evening is that Manchester United under-23s who are currently playing, and the big names for the under-23s, none of them feature. Now, that is James Garner, that is obviously Angel Gomez, and that is Tahith Chong and Mason Greenwood. Now, I'm hearing that Mason Greenwood may be back in training, but I wouldn't expect him to be fit enough to play against Crystal Palace. Now, that's just my guess. Whether that is in fact a shock or not, we will have to wait and see. But I would expect the other 3 to travel down to London, at least 2 of them, to travel down to London for the game. So it could well be James Garner and Tahith Chong. It seems that Angel Gomez seems to have been pulled out a little bit lately. I don't know what's happened there. I'm not too sure. He was the first one out of these group of youngsters given the opportunity, and it's 3 seasons ago now, but hasn't really kicked on, hasn't been able to get the chances in and around the first team. And I know a lot of people think because of his height he can't make it, which I think is absolute bollocks. There's been other tiny players in the Premier League that have made it, and he's just got to be given the opportunity to get a chance, I think, in the first team. And with better players around him, I think he could definitely have an impact, and I think that is helping the likes of Scott McTominay, who I thought was decent in that in that draw against Liverpool. I think the fact that he's playing with other world-class players, it's really helping bring the best out of Scott McTominay, whereas he's probably an average player, but he's bringing more to his game with the others around him, and did quite well. Now he's going to have another decent game in this game. So is a lot of other players. I mean, Paul Pogba has really got to step up to the mark in this game. I know he has been lately, but Lukaku and Sanchez have really up front got to do something in this game. We've seen time and time again, and yes, he did put a few good crosses into the box, Lukaku, in that game against Arsenal. Besides that, was very, very poor in that game. Sanchez, not good enough either, and them two have got to have a big game in this game. If Martial cannot play, them two have really got to step up to the mark, because Manchester United could fall short in this game. I do though believe that some of these players, if given their opportunity, if Garner, Chong or Gomez are given their opportunity in this game, then I do believe that they could be along the squad for the game against Southampton as well, because I don't see, besides Martial and Rashford, I'm not too sure of any other players being able to make it for that game against Southampton, only about 3 days after the Crystal Palace game. So there could well be an opportunity for one of these players to get a second chance if they have a good game, if they have a cameo and a good cameo against Crystal Palace. So it is a great chance for one of these youngsters to get into the first team, because I know Taichung has been on the edges of the first team for the last 3 or 4 games. He's been in and around the squad and just hasn't made that final 18-man squad. That every time Manchester United take a 20-man squad to away games, and Lee Grant is always the third choice goalkeeper, and it seems that Taichung is more often than not been that extra outfield player, and it's disappointing that he hasn't been able to make the substitutes bench when we've maybe had the opportunity. We've played the likes of Fulham in recent times and he hasn't got on the bench. That's my only criticism of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that he could have at times maybe utilised the youth a little bit more, could have potentially had 1 or 2 on the substitutes bench against Chelsea. Now Crystal Palace are going to be in confident mood after their 4-1 win away at Leicester at the weekend, putting on a decent show there, so they're going to be in confident mood. They've got a massive FA Cup tie coming up, so they're going to be really in confident mood. Wilfried Zaha scoring some goals in that, so he's going to be a man coming back to play against Manchester United, going to be looking to haunt Manchester United's chances of making the top 4, so we've got to be wary of Crystal Palace's threats. But I think it's going to be very difficult for Manchester United this game, I really do. If Alexis Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku are off form again in this game, then I do think it's going to be a job for Manchester United to win this. And I think it might be. I mean, these are top players. They're not just completely shit players. They've come in for for big money. They're on big wages, and they perform much better than this. Lukaku is an absolute shadow of the player he was last season. Just really lacking in confidence, I think, and just not at it. He's maybe about 10 pounds too heavy. His touch is just so awful. Obviously, he was playing out in a wider area at the weekend against Liverpool, but this time he's going to be in that central position. Maybe that will help him build up his confidence to maybe start scoring goals again. And these are the sort of teams that he used to eat up for breakfast. He used to be banging in goals for fun against these sort of teams, so he's got to have a good game. Manchester United are going to get anything from this game, but I think it's going to be a bit difficult for Manchester United to go to Selhurst Park and get the victory in this game. Unfortunately, I think Manchester United may draw this game. I'm going to go for Manchester United drawing this game 1-1. I mean, if Manchester United could get the victory in this game, it could be massive, because we've got an absolute depleted squad. The other 2 teams, Arsenal and Chelsea, aren't in the best of forms themselves at this moment in time. Certainly Arsenal's away form has been poor, but Arsenal seem to be picking up wins at home, and they are above us in the top 4. So we really do need to get the 3 points in this game if we can, because if we don't get the 3 points and Arsenal beat Bournemouth, we will fall further behind in that race for the top 4, and it will mean we will have to win at the Emirates Stadium for the 2nd time this season if we are to try and get in that top 4, I think, now, if the gap widens anymore. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the game. Are you confident? Are you excited about potentially seeing the likes of Garner, Chong and Gomez given some minutes in this game to impress? Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you all again soon. See ya.